Belief in oneself. Champions and winners understand that they believe in themselves before anybody else believes in them. If you want to have something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. There are some people that they're not going to cheer when you win, and guess what? Some of those people are some of the people that you call friends. People is our biggest resource in most businesses. People are the resource, and if you're good with people, and you're able to recruit people to work with you, to sell with you, to buy from you, you're gonna go out there and win. You have to believe the lie that you tell yourself that you're the best. You have to believe the lie that you tell yourself that you are a winner, that you are a millionaire. You have to believe that lie until that lie becomes truth. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Driven Not Given podcast. Today we're going to talk about the fact that the road of a champion is a lonely road. The road of a winner, somebody that sets himself apart from other people, right? So we're going to get into the reasons why the road of a champion is a lonely road. And you have to understand this. If you feel like, hey, listen, a lot of people are not supporting me, that's why we mentioned the road of a champion is a lonely road, you're probably doing something right. If people don't agree with what is it that you're doing, with the risk that you're taking, a lot of times that's a sure telltale sign that you're doing the right thing, right? Because most people are not big thinkers. Most people don't have big visions. Most people do not have big goals. So when somebody does have big goals, what does that do? It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them think they put their beliefs, their limiting beliefs on you. So we're gonna get into today on why the road of a champion is a lonely road. So let's get into it. Okay, so in getting into why the road of a champion is a lonely road, we're going to go through a couple of attributes of what is a champion, what is a winner, what are some of the attributes of champions in life, winners in life, right? So the first one is perseverance, right? So let's look at the definition of perseverance. Perseverance means persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. That is a dictionary's definition of perseverance. Perseverance is, for example, there's a reason why the most popular time at the gym is when? The beginning of the year. Because people have this new year, new me. That's why I roll my eyes. Yeah, you said this 10 years in a row. This new year, new me BS, right? New year, new me. Then the gyms are packed in January. They're packed in January, but your butt is going to be out of this gym by March, right? Why? Because they don't have the perseverance. So when you are persevering, here's the thing, even if you look at, let's say, high school sports, most of the kids that started the basketball team in the 9th grade, they're not going to be there by the 12th grade. They're not even going to be there by the 10th grade. Most people do not have perseverance. So you have to understand that if you want to be a champion, if you want to be a winner in life, you are going to start to separate yourself from others. If you have perseverance, most people are not going to have perseverance. You're going to have that much less in common. Then you're going to have some of these other attributes. They don't have those attributes either. So a lot of these people, they're not going to go on this road, so to speak, with you because you're going to have less and less common, right? So the next one is, next to perseverance, is belief in oneself. Champions and winners understand that they believe in themselves before anybody else believes in them. It's very rare that somebody's going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself, or before you believe in yourself. Now that is the case sometimes, and if you have the right mentors, then that will be the case very often. But most of the people that we surround ourselves with, think about it, take inventory of the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you grew up with, right? Most of those people, they don't have a personal development increasing mindset, right? So a champion has a big belief in themselves. And let me tell you something, most people don't even believe in themselves, much less believe in somebody else. And you will come across, if you want to get on this lonely road of a champion, most people are not willing to. This is almost like the Bible kind of mentions something like the narrow road, right? Now, the Bible talks about a different road, which I agree with that as well. But we're talking about the narrow road of a champion here. Most people are not going to go on that road. Most people are not going to take that trip. You've got to believe in yourself bigger than they will, and you're going to get dream stealers. If you've got big goals, one day I'm going to accomplish this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do great things, and I'm going to be successful. Most people are not going to believe in you. They don't even believe in themselves. So you have to understand, hey, and guess what? We also have to take inventory. Whenever we have people like this that they don't believe in yourself, there's a meme out there that came out like over a year ago. It says something along the lines of, be careful for those people who do not cheer when you win. Be careful of those people who do not cheer when you win. There are some people that they're not going to cheer when you win. And guess what? Some of those people are some of the people that you call friends. Some of the people that you call family. I'm telling you, dream stealers are cleverly disguised as friends and family members. So you may believe in yourself. They may not believe in you. Yet another reason why the road of a champion is a lonely road. You keep separating yourself and separating yourself. The next one attribute of a champion is delay of gratification. Most people do not know how to delay gratification. I remember when I was coming up, I'll tell you a quick story, and I wanted to become successful. I wanted to become successful in business, and I started hanging around the proximity, which, by the way, that's a bonus one for you. Champions understand the importance of proximity, the people that they surround themselves with. You become a product of your environment. I started surrounding myself, and my proximity started to change. I started to hang out with people that had what I wanted, people that not only had what I wanted financially, but time freedom, right? Their health was in order. Their family, their relationships, their spiritual relationships were in order. And here's one thing that I started realizing. These people delay gratification. Or maybe they don't delay gratification anymore because they delayed gratification in the past. So I said, I'm going to stop hanging out with these people. I'm going to delay gratification. I'm going to delay gratification, and I'm going to separate myself from these people. So that's exactly what I did. I started to separate myself from these people. And as a matter of fact, it got to a point where I was in a relationship, and the person that I was in a relationship with, her mindset was completely different than my mindset. She did not think of business the way that I did. I used to go to trainings on Saturday mornings, right? And she wanted to party late on Friday night. And then if I partied late with her on Friday night, Saturday morning, I'm not going to be ready for training. And I started to realize, guess what? I'm not going to listen to her. And if I didn't go, then it caused some friction in our relationship, right? Because obviously, she didn't want to go by herself, or I didn't wanted her to go by herself and whatnot, right? So as you can imagine, naturally it's going to cause some friction. And I said, I don't care what you think. I am going to go out there and learn from these people. I've got to wake up early on Saturday morning. And I understood a long time ago, somebody said to me, listen, if you want to achieve something that if you want to have something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. He says, most people, are they getting trained on a Saturday morning? Are they working and putting in the hours on a Saturday morning? I said, no, they're not. Exactly. He says, if you follow the masses, you'll find out that in the word masses, the M becomes silence. The masses, right? So the M is silent, right? And I said, okay, I'm going to separate myself. I'm going to do things that other people are not doing. I looked at the people around me. I said, they're not doing these things. They are out there not delaying gratification, right? They're out there partying and drinking. And it's like, hey, what are you partying for? What is it you're celebrating exactly? Mediocrity? Is that what you're celebrating? Right? And guess what? Most people, that's their philosophy. Most people, they don't understand the concept of delaying gratification. Yet again, another attribute that will separate you from people and will make this lonely road of a champion a lonely one. Now, before I get into the next attribute of this topic, to go back to what we were talking about right now, the delay of gratification. That relationship that I mentioned to you eventually didn't work out. I said, this is not the right person for me. I wish her well, whatever the case may be. God bless. I separated myself for about a year and a half. No, actually for about 3 years. Not only her, but most of the people that we hung out with, they hardly saw me for 3 years. I didn't really do much partying. Maybe occasionally they might see me, hanging out here and there. But for the most part, I was gone for 3 years. Okay? Why? I was building myself. I was reinventing myself. I was building my business. I'm going to be paying the price. I'm going to be learning. I'm going to be building my business. About 3-4 years later, I reemerged, right? And I went to a restaurant and I find my ex's sister at the restaurant. So we were cordial, we were friends. So I said hello to her. I said, by the way, how is your sister doing? And I knew that her birthday was in September. I said, by the way, how's your sister doing? She's doing great. I said, I know that her birthday's coming up. Tell her I said, happy birthday. By the way, I was suited and booted. I had a new SL 500 Mercedes outside, hardtop convertible, black, red interior. You know what I mean? Things were a lot different. I separated myself during that time. So then I sit down with my buddy that went to have dinner with. We had a dinner to talk about some business. So then she comes up to me and says, hey, by the way, my sister asked if you could give her a call. She said, thank you very much for the well wishes. Could you give her a call? I said, sure. I don't have her number anymore. Do you mind giving it to me? Give me the number. Long story short, I hit her up and I said, hey, how's it going? I wasn't interested in dating her or nothing like that. I was just being nice, right? Didn't think anything of it. Long story short, we go out, right? We went out for some drinks and whatnot, and we enjoyed each other's company for 2 days that week. We actually went out twice that weekend. But then after that, we just weren't in the same place, right? And we just had fun for the weekend, and that was it. But I remember the conversation that I had with her, and the conversation was, wow, you've changed. There's such a significant difference between the way that you are today and the way that you were then. You disappeared for a couple of years. I said, yes, I did. I said, I got some mentors, and these mentors told me that if I want to get out of the situation that I'm in, I've got to do something different. As a matter of fact, one of my mentors said to me, you shouldn't even have a couch, a comfortable living room set, or even a TV in your house until you're making at least X amount of money per month. Now, that's a true story. And she says, wow, that's extreme. I said, you know what? It was a little bit extreme, but I listened to them every step of the way. And so, I've accomplished some goals that I set for myself. So, I guess that's why I'm out here now. But she mentioned about the posture, the confidence. She says, you're like a totally different guy. I said, yeah. And guess what? Because I was a totally different guy, we didn't have anything in common. Now, granted, she was interested in us continuing to see each other, but I was not, because we were just, our mindsets were completely different. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that right there was when I realized not only the power of proximity, but the power of delaying gratification. And when you start to couple some of these things together over an extended period of time, we start to see some major differences in our lives. When you start to surround yourself with people that are winning on a higher level, with people that are more disciplined, with people that are crushing it, you will tend to perform at a better level. You will tend to start to crush it, but guess what? You've got to develop the discipline to delay gratification. So the next attribute is that champions outwork. I saw a quote, and I'm going to put this on a Driven Not Given t-shirt, by the way. And it says, I don't work out, I outwork, right? When it comes to business and it comes to life, champions understand I'm going to outwork. Everybody else is going to half-ass it. I'm going to outwork them. And if I outwork them long enough, I'm going to win. There's no way I'm not going to win if I'm outworking everybody else. Champions understand, hey, listen, it's not over until I win. Champions understand that, hey, listen, I'm going to make up in numbers what I lack in skill. They're going to outwork. I'm going to make up in numbers what I lack in skill. You're not very good at this particular business, at this particular job, at this particular sales job. Guess what? Make up in numbers what you lack in skill. And if you make up in numbers what you lack in skill, guess what? You'll develop more skill. Ain't that interesting? You make up in numbers what you lack in skill. You're doing it so much, repetition, you're going to get better. So you make up in numbers what you lack in skill, you're going to develop more skill. Now, if you maintain the same discipline with more skill, you make more money. Ain't that interesting? So outwork, right? It's a philosophy of a champion. I very often mention, kids, they go from kids, they're looking up to their parents, but unfortunately, around 13 or 14 years old, they stop respecting their parents like they did when they were younger, unfortunately, right? And I think a lot of times that shouldn't be the case regardless, but why is that? And I heard a speaker one time say the reason why is because they see their parents went from grown-ups to given-ups, right? They went from grown-ups to given-ups, and now the kids, they look at an athlete or a movie star, unfortunately, right, some YouTuber, as their heroes. That's who they want to be like. They don't want to be like their parents. One of my motivations was always, I want to be my kid's hero. I want to work out. I want to crush it in business. I want to spend enough time with them. I want to be confident. I want them to know that I know what I'm talking about, have credibility in these things, train with them, all of these things. So I adopted I'm going to outwork, and I do outwork people. And that right there, I can honestly say that when I learned the philosophy of make up in numbers what you lack in skill, that changed my life. That's one of the things that changed my life. I said, I may not be as good as this person, but if I outwork them, I will beat them. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to out-tough you. I'm going to out-persistence you. I'm going to out everything. And if I do that and I make it a habit, it's going to be very hard for me to get beat. You're not going to beat me, right? So champions outwork. The next attribute is extreme confidence. You have to act as if. 3 words. Act as if. Even if you don't believe that you really have that confidence. Here's the thing, man. There's a conscious mind, there's a subconscious. Your subconscious is infinitely more powerful than your conscious mind, and your subconscious does not know the difference between what's true and what's a lie. It'll believe whatever it is that you feed it, whatever it is that you tell it. So when you act as if you already have the confidence. Act as if you're that $1 million earner. Act as if, but let me tell you something. This is going to rub mediocre minds the wrong way. A quick story I'll tell you. When I got started in the solar industry back in 2020, I've only been in the industry 2.5 years. 1,100 people selling solar. My team's doing over 200 sales per month. We're crushing it, right? We're crushing it. And we're growing every single month, by the way. When we barely started, I declared, I wrote down my goals and I said, within 1 year, I would be the #1 salesperson mentor in this company of 5,000 people. At the time, that's roughly how many people there were. I said, and I'm a solar rookie. I've never sold a solar deal in my life, and I'm going to outsell, outperform, and outbuild all of you. People, and I mention this story often, and people started commenting like, who do you think you are, blah, 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 blah. A year later, it happened. 2021, out of 5,000 people, outsold every single one of them, out-recruited every single one of them, outbuilt every single one of them. Why? Because I outworked every single one of them. I out-hustled, I outsmarted every single one of them. Because my philosophies was, and I had this extreme confidence, and people say, how are you so extremely confident? I said, because here's the deal, I know what it takes to win. I know what it takes to win. I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna figure it out, the way I figured out other things in my life. And I'm not gonna back down when things get tough. I understand that we get paid based on the size of the problems that we solve. I know how to build people, I know how to interact with people. At the end of the day, people is our biggest resource in most businesses. People are the resource, and if you're good with people, and you're able to recruit people to work with you, to sell with you, to buy from you, you're gonna go out there and win. And here's the thing, champions, sticking with extreme confidence, champions understand that their thoughts, their beliefs, and their emotions, and the words that they say don't go void. It's like if you ever met a pathological liar, they lie so much that they believe it. That's a bad example, right? That's an example of somebody uses it the bad way. You almost have to lie to yourself about your confidence. This is some real game, by the way, I'm teaching you. You have to believe. Look at that word, believe. Right smack in the middle of that word is the word lie. You have to believe the lie that you tell yourself that you're the best. You have to believe the lie that you tell yourself that you are a winner, that you are a millionaire. You have to believe that lie until that lie becomes truth. That is some deep shit I just gave you right now. I'm telling you, man, I've done very well in my life. Not the most successful person I know, probably not the most successful person you know. That's not what I'm saying. But I've made millions of dollars in my life, and I've helped people. I've created quite a bit of millionaires, okay? I don't say that to toot my horn by any means. I'm telling you, your thoughts, your words, and your emotions will create your reality. You have to believe bigger, faster. You have to act as if. You have to have that extreme confidence. And if you fake that extreme confidence, eventually it doesn't become, it's not fake, it's real. Act the way you want to feel, and soon you will feel that way. Keyword act. Until it's not an act. Again, some real game I'm giving you guys right here. The next one is that champions have a willingness to learn. If you ever hear people talk about, yeah, man, I know. Unsuccessful people tend to say those words a lot. I know. Knowing and not doing is worse than not knowing. That's one of my favorite lines to say. I say it on the podcast all the time. I say it to my traders all the time. Trust me when I tell you, man, champions understand, hey, listen, I know that I don't know. That's what I know. I know that there's so much more I need to know. There's so much more that I need to learn. Give an example. This particular weekend, I have a training, 2-day training. We've got between 120 and 150 people paying me $200 to come get trained for 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday, right? I charge for these trainings because we bring some real value. And people pay the fees to be there, right? And I'm not the only one training, by the way. I've got a lineup of about 6 different speakers that are all powerhouse speakers. So I tell one of the guys on my team, I say, hey man, you going to the Mentor Factory, right? He says, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to the Mentor Factory. I said, why not? He says, well, I went last year and it was really good, but I already went last year. I said, listen, bro, you know that training should be something you do, not something you did. Did you brush your teeth today? He says, yes. I said, did you brush your teeth yesterday? He says, yes. And probably the day before and multiple times per day, didn't you? He says, I see where you're going with this. I say, yes. Brushing your teeth is something you do, not something you did. Training is something you do, not something you did. Do you think you know everything that you need to know about it? Are you the most successful people on your team? Are you the most successful person on your team? And I'm telling you, he's a part of my team. He's not one of the most successful by far people on my team. I said, do you think so-and-so is more successful than you? He says, yeah, of course. I said, guess what? He's going to the training. He's paying the money, investing the money in himself and in his business. And you're telling me that you're not going, but yet that guy's going and he's making 10 times what you're making? What about so-and-so? Do you think so-and-so is more successful than you? He says, yeah. I say, he's going. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because mediocre minds have this thought. Oh, why should I get paid to get training? I shouldn't pay to get training. I saw this guy, a real estate agent, interestingly enough, I'll tell you why right now, shared on the training. He made a post about paid trainings. He says, and he was being sarcastic. Hey guys, I'm going to be sharing my story about how I did this, and then, and he made it, and it was a little bit funny, right? How I was able to, become successful, and now I'm able to put cheese on my burgers. Before I wasn't even able to put cheese on my burgers, and how blah, 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 blah. Pay for my training. This is like over a year ago, right? Pay for my training. I'm going to show you how I did all of these things, right? Then he writes afterwards, you don't have to pay anybody, for them to tell you their story about blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this guy's completely wrong. Here's a funny thing. A year ago, he was in the real estate industry. Now he's not in the real estate industry, right? The funny thing, the ironic thing is that the guy that was criticizing higher knowledge, higher learning, paid events, investing in yourself, just failed at his business. He just got into a different industry. Am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. Most people don't have the mindset of growth. They don't have a growth mindset. So winners are willing to learn. Again, very often I say, millionaires have a big library while average and broke people have a big screen TV. Millionaires educate themselves. Everybody else entertains themselves. The next attribute of a champion, of a winner, is that they take massive action. As a matter of fact, I want you to get this. Hashtag AOMA, all out massive action. Champions understand, hey, listen, I've got to go out there and take massive action. I teach my people, listen, you could either start your business. We help people launch their solar business. I say you could either start your solar business or you could launch your solar business. What do you prefer? Option 2. Most of the time, 99% of the time, I want to launch my business. How do I launch my business? So I teach them what are the action steps for them to take massive action and launch their business. Champions and winners understand, hey, listen, I got to build up momentum. I've got to take massive action. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, you've got a scenario where you got this 1970 Cadillac, those long OG Cadillacs, heavy Cadillacs, right? And you're pushing this Cadillac by yourself, and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing. And then eventually it starts to move. But you got to keep pushing. If you stop for a second, you got to start all over again. You got to keep putting that action, that consistent action behind it. Eventually the car starts to move. Eventually, because of the momentum, because of the massive action, you could push that car with a finger. Champions understand that life is about momentum. Champions understand that, hey, listen, I got to get this momentum going. I got to take massive action. For example, right now as we're recording this, it's the end of October 2022. Next month, especially around Thanksgiving, they're going to almost shut off mentally for the year. So most businesses slow down at the end of the year. What I teach my team is you got to go out there and build. I did a training this Monday. You got to go out there. You got about 30 days to go out there. And if you haven't built momentum in your business, do the best that you can through massive action and build momentum. That way you enter the slow months with momentum. So you don't start in January at a standstill. Let's say you hit the holidays at 70 miles an hour. The holidays will slow you down to 35 miles an hour, but you start in January at 35 miles an hour instead of 0 miles an hour. Champions understand that they've got to take massive action. So here's the deal. Why is a road of a champion a lonely road? Because you got nothing in common with these people. Do you think most of these people are going to take massive action? Do you think most of these people are willing to learn? No, they're not. Most people are going to be dreamsters. They're going to say, hey, why are you going to that training? Why are you investing so much money in your business? Why are you doing this? Why are you reading that book? Let's go to happy hour. I remember I used to hang out with these guys. One of the guys would tell me years ago, this is 15, 20 years ago, we used to play poker together. And he was going to be a cop. He says, you know what? I'm going to get my Hummer before you get your Corvette, Jesse. We used to talk about the cars that we wanted. He says, I'm going to get my Hummer before you get your Corvette. How about that? Because he knew that I was trying to be an entrepreneur. And he was going to be a cop, right? By the way, very noble profession. I don't have anything against that. I said, maybe you will, but eventually I'll get it, and eventually I'll beat you. Because what you're trying to do has a cap of the potential. What I do has no cap. So he says, let's bet. I said, I'm not going to bet you, but we'll see. He did get the Hummer that he wanted before me. Eventually, a couple years later, I got the Corvette. It took me longer than I thought it would. Since then, I've had 3 Corvettes. But the point is, and I've had other nice cars, the Maseratis and Ferraris and whatnot. But one day, I remember, I'm in his city. I no longer live in that city. I live in another city, right? A nicer city. Then one of my friends texted me, hey, by the way, I see that I think he saw on social media that I was in that city, right? I was doing some business in that particular city. He said, I see that you're in town, you're close by. Why don't you come to this Wingstop place? We're having some beers, drinking, eating some wings and watching the game. You don't want to stop by? And normally I would say no. I said, and he says, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so are here. Let me know if you could stop by. I wasn't going to stop by. But that particular guy that had mentioned, I'm going to get my Hummer before you get your Corvette. And, that business is not going to work and blah, blah, just negative. Dream stealer. When he mentions that dude's going to be there, I said, oh, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Because I was already leaving. I said, before I leave, before I go home or wherever my next destination was, I'm going to show up. But I was driving a red Ferrari with tan interior. Not a Corvette, but a Ferrari. So a little bit of an upgrade. So I pull up, and here's the thing. It's funny how things work. What happened to be available was the parking directly in front of the wing house, right? The windows are right there, and it's a major street, so it's rare that that particular parking's available. It happens to be available. So I park right there. I get off, and these fools are seeing, and that particular guy's acting like he's the only one that's not seeing, not noticing. He's over here focused on the TV, which is bullshit. He noticed it. He was trying hard not to notice it, but it was obvious. So I show up, and I'm suited and booted, by the way. I look like $1 million, man. I got my Hugo Boss suit, my Ferragamo shoes, pulled out of the Ferrari. This is years later. And I sit down. What's up, guys? Boom, boom, boom. I get a drink, eat a couple wings. I only stuck around for about 30 minutes because I had places to be. And frankly, it's just not really my shit. I'm not much of a wing and beer guy, But I stopped by. Then I go to the restroom and I tell the waitress, hey, here's my card. I want you to pay for that bill right there. Don't tell them anything. Just pay for the bill. Sure enough, boom, boom, I sign. I sit back down. I say, all right, gentlemen, I got to get going. Good seeing all of you guys. Everybody's like, and that particular guy is like, oh, yeah, have a good one, JC, right? Then I get in the car, turn on that loud-ass engine of the Ferrari, and take off. Eventually, they find out that I paid the bill, and they notice. To me, I didn't have to say anything. Because here's what I often say. Somebody's going to say, I told you so. Either your results are going to say, I told you so, or you're going to quit, and your dream stealers are going to say, I told you so. But somebody's going to say, I told you so. That day, I didn't say, I told you so. The Ferrari said, I told you so. That paid bill said, I told you so. Me walking in looking sharp as hell said, I told you so. I didn't have to say, I told you so. I delayed gratification long enough for that to be able to happen. It's funny how things work out. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you like it, comment it, share it, show me some love. See you guys on the next episode. See you at the top or from the top. Take care.